AI hallucinations. You know, it's one of the biggest, most talked about challenges in the field right now. So in this explainer, we're going to break down what they are. And this is the important part. We'll walk through 7 practical techniques that the pros use to make AI way more reliable. Ready? Let's dive in. We've all been there, right? You ask an AI a question, and it gives you the super confident answer that is just completely wrong. It can be frustrating, maybe even a little funny, but it brings up a really important question. Can we actually fix this problem? Okay, so before we jump straight into the solutions, we have to make sure we're all on the same page about what the problem really is. Let's start with a nice, clear definition. At its heart, an AI hallucination is when a model just makes stuff up. It generates information that sounds totally plausible. It's written perfectly, but it's factually wrong or just plain nonsense. And you know, the trickiest part is that it presents this information with absolute confidence as if it's a proven fact. All right, this is where we need to kind of adjust our expectations from the get-go. The goal isn't to get rid of hallucinations entirely. With the tech we have today, that's just not realistic. Instead, we need to adopt what's called a reduction mindset. And this right here, this might be the most important thing you'll hear today. We cannot eliminate hallucinations. We can only reduce them. This single idea shapes every single strategy we're about to cover. It's all about managing the problem, not pretending we can wave a magic wand and make it disappear. So why is that? Why can't we just fix it for good? Well, it's because these models are, at their core, just incredibly sophisticated pattern matches. They are literally just predicting the next most likely word in a sentence. They don't have a fact checker built in, and they are totally limited by the patterns. And yep, the mistakes, in the huge amounts of data they were trained on. Okay, so now that we have that foundation, let's get to the good stuff, the solutions. We're going to open up a practical toolkit and walk through 7 really powerful techniques that developers and researchers use every single day to make these AI systems more trustworthy. Technique number 1 is actually the most accessible one for all of us, better prompting. Just look at the difference here. A vague prompt like explain quantum physics is basically an open invitation for the AI to just ramble and maybe make things up. But a structured prompt, one that says explain it step by step, and this is key, tells it to say I don't know if it's unsure, well, that forces a much more careful, much more grounded response. Building on that, our next technique is so simple it's almost deceptive. Just ask the model for its sources. I mean, that one little instruction forces the AI to connect its answer to actual, verifiable information instead of just stringing together words that sound good. It's a fantastic way to boost the factual accuracy of any answer. Now we're getting into some more advanced stuff with a technique called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG. This one is a real game changer. Instead of only relying on its old training data, the system first goes out and grabs up-to-date, relevant documents from a trusted source. Then it feeds that fresh info into the model and says, answer the question, but only use what I just gave you. It's like giving the AI an open book test where it has all the answers right in front of it. Another really powerful technique is to just limit how the model is even allowed to respond. For example, you can force its output into a really strict format, like JSON, or you could even make it choose from a list of multiple choice answers. When you do this, you're dramatically reducing the odds of it going off on some creative and potentially wrong tangent. You're trading randomness for consistency. Okay, next up is a cool concept called temperature. You can pretty much think of it as a creativity knob for the AI. If you crank the temperature way up, you're telling it to be more creative and random, which is awesome if you're, say, writing poetry, but for factual answers, that's terrible. For jobs where you need reliability, you turn that temperature setting way down, which makes the output much more focused and predictable. Think of fine-tuning like sending a general-purpose AI to medical school. You take a big, powerful base model, and then you continue its training but with a very specific, high-quality dataset, like a huge library of medical journals or legal case files. What this does is it turns a model into a specialist, an expert in that one area. And that drastically cuts down on errors when it's talking about that specific topic. And our 7th technique is honestly one of the most exciting things happening in AI right now, giving models access to tools. I mean, why would you ask an AI to do complex math in its head when you can just give it a calculator? Why ask it to guess the weather when it can check a live weather API? This lets the model go get real, live data or perform perfect calculations instead of just, well, guessing. So we just loaded up our toolkit with 7 really powerful techniques. But here's the thing. The real insight from the professional world is that they almost never use just one of these in isolation. They build these sophisticated systems that combine them all together. And that brings us to a really crucial point. For any serious, high-stakes application, a single, off-the-shelf language model is just not enough. You have to think of it as just one piece of the puzzle. It might be the engine, but you still have to build the rest of the car around it. So what does that look like in the real world? Well, a production-grade system will layer these techniques. It might use RAG to pull in the latest sales data, give a model tools to look up customer info, and then guide the whole process with really advanced prompting, all inside a very structured workflow. That combination is how you build an AI system you can actually depend on. So if there is one cool idea to take away from all of this, it's this. An AI, when it's just left to its own devices, is a brilliant, but sometimes totally unreliable storyteller. To turn it into a partner you can actually trust, it needs guidance, it needs guardrails, it needs outside knowledge, and it needs crystal clear instructions from us. Now, we just touched on giving AIs tools, but that is a topic that goes so much deeper. In our next explainer, we're going to dig into how AI agents are moving beyond just talking to actually doing things and taking actions in the real world. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you for that one.